Jamar Lovelace will now be added to the roll call that shows Vince Bradford, Bo Henson, and so many others. He is the new head football coach at EC Glass. Coach Lovelace, who spent time as the head football coach at William Fleming, has also been an assistant at EC Glass as well as Monticello and Brookville High School. Coach Lovelace spoke with me about the opportunity to call EC Glass home and more on the Sports Buffet podcast. Jamar Lovelace has occupied William Fleming for many years now. He will call the sideline of EC Glass home, talking to the newest head coach of the Hilltoppers. And I think the first question is probably an obvious one. What drew you to this job?
I think EC Glass is it's a historic place. It's kind of etched its place in history now. And to kind of be able to continue on that tradition is opportunity I couldn't pass up, and kind of a coming back home experience and getting to take over a historic program and a very successful program. So I'm excited about the opportunity, and I don't take it lightly.
How tough was it to tell your kids at Fleming?
I always think it's the toughest part about coaching. Coaching such a relationship-based thing, and when you leave a place, the relationship is not broken, but it's changed. And for that change to be such a realistic thing, once you tell your kids, just living through the emotions, that is always one of the toughest parts about coaching. I do think it should be tough. I told other guys on staff, if it ain't tough leaving the place, then you didn't do right when you were at that place. So I knew it would be tough, and it definitely was a tough day. And I got a lot of respect and love for those guys.
You're from this area, and this area meaning Lynchburg. So I'm not saying that the familiarity of Glass just because you knew where it was appealed to you, but you've been there. You were an assistant there. Was that mainly the magnet that drew you to Glass?
Yeah, I definitely think it was. It was so much about my coaching career that I think was shaped since my first time being at Glass. And I tell everybody, like, I didn't learn anything about coaching until I came to EC Glass. For one, I think the kids have such a unique need for someone that's going to really be concerned with their total development, not just the athletic development, but the academic development, the character development, and I think that EC Glass provides such a platform to do so and to reach so many different type of kids. And it's a very unique place, and I think it's a special place to be.
You played at Brookville. Correct me if I'm wrong. You played for Coach Jenkins, and Coach Woody came in at the end?
Yep, Coach Woody came in my senior year.
So do you think that you're forever linked to Jeff Woody, whether that be good or bad?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've had such a long-standing relationship, and it started so long ago. And I think from the college connection as well, with him being a Hampton-Sydney graduate and me being a Hampton-Sydney graduate too, and and I think I'm happy to still be connected to him, and I'm glad that he really did a lot for me in my coaching career, and really letting me flourish and grow, and giving me some control over things. And, I really credit him to a lot of the things that helped me kind of propel myself forward in this thing.
And I love Coach Woody, too, and I mean this question with all due respect, but the fact that he was the head coach there, did that make it more appealing, less appealing, or have no meaning whatsoever?
I think it didn't. I think it helped things, knowing that it was left in such good hands, and knowing that the previous head coach had such a similar mindset than I did with how it comes to having successful student athletes. So I definitely think it added to the appeal for sure.
Because I think a lot of people would question at some point, does Coach Lovelace want to be quote unquote in the shadow of Coach Woody forever? And I think that's kind of unfair, because I think your name's Jamar Lovelace, his name's Jeff Woody. I don't think it's a shadow thing.
And I think too, I think that's kind of what made us work so well together, was that we were so different with our approaches on things. And I think that's an important part of coaching, is you want people that's going to kind of sharpen you, and sometimes that comes by not being exactly or having the same exact opinion. So I appreciate kind of being able to grow under him, and there's a lot of things that we do different. There's a lot of things we've learned from each other. And I think that's what coaching is. It's borrowing what you want and taking it and applying it when you need to. And I think every coach is a good thief, and we're all stealing from each other every chance we get to try to piece this thing up best we can.
Not getting into specifics or anything, but let's pretend EC Glass football is a car. Are you buying a new one? Are you just tuning up the old one? I mean, what's you reinventing the wheel? I mean, you kind of get where I'm going with this.
I do. I think that even, I know it's specific to a new head coach coming in, but I think every offseason you're trying to rebuild that same car. Every team is, that car from last year is not going to roll over into the next year. Even the same guys, it's going to still, those parts are going to fit just a little bit different. So I think every year, every coach is trying to piece this car up as best as possible. And, I'm going to begin immediately trying to do that starting, this week. And I do think that we got a lot of pieces that were successful. And I think the good news with that is you have some ideas of where you want these pieces to go and how they're going to fit. But you still got to keep tuning them up as much as possible so they're running the right way when it matters.
It's not like you were in Guam while you were gone. You were in Roanoke. So, I mean, you're just across, 45 miles away or whatever. So you still watch TV. You still read the papers. You, for probably better or worse, still talk to people like me. What do you know about the Seminole, and how different is it than when you left?
I think one thing about the Seminole that's been true is that it's tough. Week in and week out. I think one thing that's and that's always been true. I think one thing that's different now is that you get such a variety of football that you see. It's still smash mouth and it's still physical and it's still you got to be technically sound if you're going to have a chance to get a win on Friday nights. But you see such a variety of different footballs, different defenses, different philosophies that certain coaches have, and I think that was also an appeal with coming back home was the level of coaching that's in this area and the guys that's at some of these other schools around and the pedigrees that they have, and you want to compete against those guys, and I think that's a very motivating factor. And so yeah, looking forward to being in what I call the SEC of Central Virginia.
One of the final questions I'm going to ask is how good's the Glass Heritage rivalry in your opinion right now? Because I don't think it's changed that much since you've left.
No, I don't think it's changed a lot at all. I think it's as good as it can be, especially with the success last year of both teams, and I think each program has this reality of what they can achieve, and I think that only adds to that game. And that game doesn't that game has no final say in how the season's going to end for either team, but it means just so much, and it's such a measuring stick. So yeah, I think it's changed it all, and I think it's going to continue to be that way.
Final thing, I know you don't have 100% say in what happens with the non-district schedule, but when it gets to the point to where we're scheduling new teams, do you want it to be a situation to where you guys are challenging yourselves? Because like you said, you got the SEC coming up right after it. Or do you want it to be a situation to where you're playing teams that hopefully you can get some points? And if, for lack of a better term, do you want to keep all previous employers out of there so you don't have to see those guys again?
Yeah, I think it's always tough playing a previous employer. So I think I'm going to try to keep those guys out of it. But I know, the last few years at William Fleming, we played Heritage Game 1. We played Albemarle Game 2. We played Salem Game 3. And then PH were our rivals across town. So I'm a firm believer in just playing the best guys. And, if you're gonna reach your goals, you're going to have to beat some good football teams in November and December. So, I think that you're playing the best guys you can during the regular season is always the way to go. So I know the Seminoles really tough, and I'm still going to be looking to try to fill our schedule with the best teams that we can.
Coach, welcome home. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you throughout the season.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Jamar Lovelace on the Sports Buffet.